Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of the Rush Hour podcast with a Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni update. That's right. We've quickly become a Blake Lively news channel, but there's so much meat on the bone, as it were, to this story. Of course, Blake has sued Justin. He has now sued her back, kind of for separate things, right? She sued him for harassment, but he's suing for defamation, extortion, saying, you were part of a campaign to take my baby away from me, that baby being the It Ends With Us movie. Well, it's going to end with a lawsuit. I'll tell you, it's going to end with a jury trial the way this thing's going. Well, Blake has responded to the PR campaign to share the evidence, Justin Baldoni's evidence, that he did not do the things she's saying that he's done. Now, she says that's unethical to share this. That's like my abuser sharing and taunting and all of this. And again, it's up to you to interpret what you see with the footage. Some people have looked at it from Blake's point of view and say, actually, she did look creeped out, or she did feel a certain way. I see it in a very nuanced way, where I don't think we have a full story being told. But what is challenging with the footage is that we have Justin Baldoni is the director, and he's kind of having to tell her what to do. She doesn't really like it. Let's be quite honest, right? The footage starts with her saying, hey, you're not on your mark. So not to overly explain this to you, because I am going to get into what Blake said in a second, but the mark is usually a piece of tape on the ground, and you stand there. Now, I have like a very specific knowledge of this scenario because I actually worked as a stand-in for like a decade. In fact, I worked on Jane the Virgin, and I worked on Gossip Girl and about 1,000 other projects in between. And the stand-in's job is usually somebody who's the same height, complexion, eye color of the main actor. They literally stand on a mark while all the camera guys set up their focus, have the perfect focal length. The lighting guys will adjust all the lights. And sometimes you'll be there for several hours as they get ready to light the scene. So in this moment where they film this, she's saying, hey, you're not on your mark. The light's behind you. And Justin's like, hey, it kind of looks good that way. And trust me, there's multiple camera operators. There's the director of photography. There's the producers. He's the director, so he has as an assistant director watching the footage in what is called Video Village, which is where all the cameras are showing everything going on. They're doing very specific work where they're trying to get solar, like the sort of like the backlight outer glow. You can actually see right here. They've got, and everything just comes off looking perfect. But there's science behind this. They've got light behind them, which gives them this beautiful little halo effect, which kind of helps with the romantic element of the scene. So much of storytelling is having the perfect and right lighting. So she tries to kind of coach him at the beginning, and he's like, don't worry about it. It's not her job. She's not the camera guy. She's not the lighting guy and all these things. And it's nice to be collaborative. I know what it's like to feel rejected when you try to give advice. That's the codependent in me, right? If you try to give advice or be helpful and the other person doesn't respond, you then feel bitter. Hey, every family out there, right? You feel like you always give more than you receive, and then you get angry because like, oh, I'm pulling all the weight here. So there's so much at play, psychologically speaking, that could lead to why Blake and him are kind of having this like cheery spat where they're in character kind of smiling, but also kind of like, being kind of weird. And it also could just be a whole bunch of nothing. It could be just a hangry mood. They shot this right before lunch. I have no idea. But to say that this proves her point, I don't see that. But that's okay. It's up for interpretation. So I've got several articles which share some statements from Blake Lively. It Ends With Us footage shows Baldoni victimizing me. No intimacy coordinator. Blake is thrilled that Justin decided to release the unedited footage from It Ends With Us because she says it only proves her point that she was visibly uncomfortable with Baldoni's advances during the scene. Blake's legal team tells TMZ Justin Baldoni and his lawyer may hope that this latest stunt will get ahead of the damaging evidence against him, but the video itself is damning. Every frame of the released footage corroborates to the letter what Miss Lively described in paragraph 48 of her complaint. So I'm going to read paragraph 48 in a second, but I did want to let you guys know I do appreciate the thousands of new subscribers. We got 1,200 new subscribers yesterday, 5,000 total since we started covering this on Sunday. I'm at 88 plus thousand. If we get up to 100,000, as I said, I will fly to New York for the full trial and report live from outside the steps. I will be there live every day to report this if you get me to 100,000 subs. With that said, if you guys hit subscribe on this video right now, I will make a video sharing the hilarious comments from Nick Viell's take. Now, his take has aged like milk. It is not a good take. He's getting absolutely roasted in the comment section, and not just from random strangers. Like, here's from Dana, a known celebrity pop culture commentator. So people are trashing his take. I'll read some of those comments today in another video. If 250 of you guys hit the subscribe button right now, you have 2 hours. The time's ticking. All right, so let's go to paragraph 48. She says this proves her point. So this is from her lawsuit. On another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Miss Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. And again, now we know that part's not true. Sound was recorded, it just wasn't used. How relevant that is, I'm not saying she's lying there. She might have not thought sound was being recorded. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Miss Lively out of character as himself. At one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear and down her neck as he said, "It smells good." None of this was remotely in character or based on any dialogue in the script, and nothing needed to be said because, again, there was no sound. Mr. Baldoni was caressing Miss Lively with his mouth in a way that had nothing to do with their roles. When Miss Lively later objected to this behavior, Mr. Baldoni's response was, "I'm not even attracted to you." And again, I don't know if they have evidence of him saying, "I'm not even attracted to you." And there's a typo there. It's Mr. Baldoni. So, but what's interesting here is, and this is where you get to the heart of the issues with Blake Lively's case, is that she does a lot of cherry picking in her lawsuit, right? And I'm sorry, whenever there's cherry picking, you're trying to get people to feel a certain way without all of the information. What Justin Baldoni's side is saying, we'll give you all the text. We'll literally give you all the sound. As of right now, they're uploading as much as they can to websites. They're giving it to any journalist who wants to share it. What's important is not what I tell you to think. What's important, if you want to have an opinion, is to have as much information as possible to make that opinion. So when she says, "He smelled my neck and said, 'It smells so good," what we actually saw in the footage is that moment that they speak of was actually when she was talking about her spray tan or something like that. So this idea that they shouldn't have even been talking because it was just a montage, she's the one who wanted them to talk. He wanted to have these moments where they're just kissing and she says, "No, my husband and I actually talk a lot." Right there.
And Emily and I have we have these moments where
staring. You just stare.
We've done it for 5 minutes. it's like, I think you would find it terrifying. We just literally look at each other and
I found a sociopath.
And time stops.
Yeah.
And again, at this point, she calls him a sociopath. I'm sorry for everyone who wants to hate on Blake. I'm not seeing this as anything more than light ribbing. I'm really not. I'm not seeing this as a scene where she's in a bad place with him. As far as I know, this was before they went on break and she came back with all the ultimatums.
That's just how it's been for us from the beginning.
No, we're like, oh my God, there's not enough time.
Oh.
You're so nosy.
I know. And my nose is so big.
And by the way, he was the one who initiated in this scene the conversation that his nose was so big. And obviously when she says it's all noses, I mean, she might be talking about her nose too. I'm not 100% sure that she's had a nose job, but I do believe people have done the side-by-side of work done. But hey, ladies in their contouring, who knows these days? I've seen some of you ladies out there contouring. You change the whole shape of your face with a little blush. I don't know. Black magic, sorcery. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's David Copperfield's just boom, and all of a sudden you look different. But hey, you put the thing on, anyway, no contour. I don't need to contour. I got enough of, okay.
I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. We gotta call an insurance month and just deal with that. And then,
Okay, at this point, it's a little rude. She's like, let's take a break for a month so you can get a nose job. But it's like, hey, I think this is an example of her joking, not, maybe crossing the line a little bit when you're talking about your boss needing plastic surgery.
Cut.
Just kidding.
What was the sociopath?
So she says, just kidding there. All right. So yeah, but she says, hey, me and my husband like to talk. And then now we see here, we weren't even supposed to be talking. Well, which one is it? You can't have it all ways, right? So like, you just want someone to be, in Blake's lawsuit, it's like if she's trying to throw the whole kitchen sink at him, you got to make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's. Because if you give them any amount of fracture to say like, dude, you wanted that, or I was perfectly in character. Now, people that are defending Justin Baldoni are saying, look, the second he yelled cut, he was not, he was boss mode, he was acting. He's literally successful because he plays a heartthrob, right? Jane the Virgin. He played like the sexy guy who, flashes a smile and you fall in love with him. So some more things to push back on here. Blake's team again said him and his lawyer hope that this stunt is damaging for him, but it corroborates her. They continue. The video shows Mr. Baldoni repeatedly leaning in towards Miss Lively, attempting to kiss her, kissing her forehead, rubbing his face and mouth against her neck, flicking her lip with his thumb, caressing her, telling her how good she smells, and talking with her out of character. Again, not to completely defend this scene here, but when you go to the scene, and let's go back to it here. She said, in the footage, like, let's have a moment where we don't give it all away, right? Let's not just give the kiss. Let's kind of do cat and mouse here. So when he's going in and she's leaning out, to me, that's the idea of what they were perfectly going for there. I don't think that's a stretch to see. So he's going for it in the character. He's not Justin Baldoni not taking her hints, right? That's how I saw it. I mean, if we had to break down every kissing scene that happened in a movie, it would be an absolute nightmare. Now, obviously, you want, and again, as far as whether or not there should have been an intimacy coordinator there, I don't know the details. All we know is Justin provided proof that he tried to coordinate a conversation with the intimacy coordinator, who was a woman, before production started. And Blake said, we'll just deal with it when we get there. So whether or not Blake felt like she needed an intimacy coordinator on set, I'm telling you this right now, it would really help her case if she has text message evidence of her that day, texting her agent, being like, I can't work with him, he's creepy, like we're doing things that are crossing the line. And you hate to say it that someone who's, she claims to be the victim here, you hate to say that they need this evidence, but like, what else do you have to go on if you don't have the evidence? We can't be doing body language reading where we're trying to read what people's body language is when they're actors playing a role, right? I mean, it becomes very difficult. So this is from, so TMZ continues to share that Blake's team points out none of the intimacy was discussed or choreographed. As they put it, every moment of this was improvised by Mr. Baldoni with no discussion or consent in advance and no intimacy coordinator present. Mr. Baldoni was not only Miss Lively's co-star, but the director, the head of studio, and Miss Lively's boss. Blake leaning away from Justin in the scene was not acting, according to her lawyers. They say the video shows Miss Lively leaning away and repeatedly asking for the characters to just talk. Any woman who has been inappropriately touched in the workplace will recognize Miss Lively's discomfort. They will recognize her attempts at levity to try to deflect the unwanted touching. Now look, if you work at T-Mobile and your boss is acting this way to you, it's like, duh. Absolutely. Like buffer zone, room for the Holy Spirit. What are we talking about? But this is literally a scene that is in the movie, something like page 48, end of act 1, whenever it is. I didn't see the movie, right? But they say at the beginning, this scene was there to convey, like, here they are falling in love. Like, this is those moments. They literally have the spark flying. Everyone's cheering as the Stanley Cup ends. They're at, like, a sports bar. They're chumming around, slow dancing. Like, this is the moment where you think you're going to go in for the kiss. You think you're going to pull out. Like, we've seen this in literally every Matthew McConaughey, Kate Hudson movie. Fool's Gold, underrated, great movie. If they want to make a Fool's Gold 2, I'll make me an executive producer. Anyhow, so yeah, it's complicated, right? And again, 250 subscribers. This video by lunchtime, by noon today, and I will Central Time, and I will make a video roasting or laughing at all the comments here, roasting Nick. So all the different rags have it. Hollywood Reporter have it. The slow dance sequence, Baldoni let the cameras roll and had them perform the scene. He didn't act in character. So again, same thing. He said it smells good. The 10-minute video features 3 takes from the dance scene. I mean, look, people can feel how they want about it, but do I see a jury siding with Blake right now based on this singular piece of evidence? No. Now, again, if she comes out and shows screen grabs of her, saying, I tried to talk to Justin, like if she has evidence where she tried to tone down the creepiness in the scene itself, that's a different story. So Justin Baldoni and his lawyers may hope that this latest stunt will get ahead of the damaging evidence against him. So anyway, yeah, we already covered all of that. So there it is. And by the way, our friend Kirsty here, was commenting on what was going down here, where Blake made a joke about him needing a rhinoplasty, I think it's called. And of course, Kirsty explained how this was exactly like when Blake made a off-putting joke to her. I'll play that really quick. Here was the moment that went super viral 5 months ago, where Kirsty was interviewing Blake, and she said, this was the interview that made me want to quit my job. I'll just play this like really quick. I mean, it happens right off the gate. Oh, hold on one second here. Here it is.
On your little bump.
Says, I love your little bump. She's pregnant. Blake's pregnant.
On your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
And Blake says, congrats on your little bump. And she kind of actually gives it like, same to you. Well, go F yourself. I mean, that's obviously why it went super viral, because it was like, yikes.
You've got 2 nice ones.
And then Blake ends up kind of, talking to her co-host there, and they kind of make it about them and not her. And think of it what you want. We'll be interviewing Kirsty about this later on this week. But either way, that's an example of Kirsty going, yeah, these are the types of jokes she makes. And it's not like you're making them to your best friend here.
In the scene, and she says something like, oh, it feels so nosy here. And she's like, oh, it's a lot of nose hair. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I have a big nose. And then she says, oh, maybe we should shut down the shoot for a month so you can do a nose job. And then she laughs and she says, just kidding. When I saw that, I was like, that's exactly what she did in my interview. When I said, congrats on your little bump, she threw it back at me and said, congrats on your little bump. And then she said, just kidding. And I was like, oh, that's what she does. So I see this is her kind of sense of humor now.
Yeah, so anyway, you can go check out Kirsty's content. Obviously, she's crushing it with a very personal perspective here. And I'd love to talk to her about humor, because I do give people the benefit of the doubt when they're going for a joke. But in a scenario like this, especially when you're dealing with a reporter, you're at a press junket, you're doing these all day, you have to remember, if you're the actor, like, the people are just doing their job. So in the instance where Blake throws it back at her, it's like, you think Kirsty wants to, you think she wants to call out Blake, or like she's just trying to build some rapport to do her job, to ask the questions she has to ask so she can go back to her boss. You know what I mean? It's like, gosh, Kirsty's not making the $8 million paycheck per movie or whatever, 15, whatever the hell Blake's getting. She's just doing her job. So whenever you see actors sort of like feel like they're so hot and bothered by other people's presence, it's like, you have to know your privilege right there. And again, you want to defend that it's a bad joke. I'm the first person to defend jokes. You just have to know like time and the place. So either way, it was very interesting stuff. Real quickly, let's on this. This is from Social Details, a channel that was sent to me. They're discussing why they think actually Ryan Reynolds might have been duped by Blake Lively. It's a theory, saying, well, maybe Blake gave Ryan Reynolds faulty information. So when Ryan was defending his woman, he didn't realize maybe he was, betting on the wrong horse.
He said, sure, we'll take notes and we'll do both. They did both, they talked, and they also kept quiet. And as you could see when they were speaking as themselves, he's calling Ryan and Blake's relationship cute. He's talking about how romantic he is with his wife. Where is the personal harassment at?
Like I said, Blake was involved in all aspects of this production, and she is also a marketing genius.
Blake somehow convinced Ryan Reynolds to believe Justin is a bad guy and that he was harassing her. It's insane. So because of this, they both decided to secretly troll him in public. On Blake's thank yous at the end of the film, It Ends With Us, she specifically thanks Gordon Reynolds, who, guess what, is also credited for playing Nice Pool in Ryan's Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, I think Ryan was tricked into doing this because he's never worked with Justin and doesn't know anything about him. So why would he base a character on somebody he doesn't know? Unless Blake is the one that was feeding him a bunch of bullshit to talk shit about Justin so that Ryan could use and create a character with the information she gave him.
Social Details on YouTube. Check it out. Great. I mean, it's a great take. It's a great take. And again, who knows, right? A lot of speculating happening. But is it unethical, as Blake says here, to go back to that clip here, is it unethical for his side to be leaking footage that proves his point? Well, when you've been sued for harassment, I think providing any evidence is fair. I think that's fair. And you know, it's like court or public opinion runs parallel to the actual court system. So whether or not these lawsuits go to court, he's saying, you judge for yourself. Now, with that said, she makes a lot of other accusation against him. On this specific accusation, I think it's Justin 1, Blake 0. How she does on the others, well, that evidence is still surfacing, some of which we've shown already, but some's going to come out from the video footage that Justin's team feels obliged to share. I'd love to know your opinion. Again, hit the subscribe button and you'll get a bonus video today for free if we get to 250 subs in the first 2 hours. All right, ball's in your court. And if you want to join me and put some bread in the tip jar, patreon.com/Dave Neal. We have our private membership community that actually is live streaming with us right now. So they get to see the behind the scenes of us making of all the content and stuff like that. And if you want more, every morning and afternoon, I have the Rush Hour podcast. Scan that QR code and you will get the audio version of the podcast so you can listen in your car on your way to and from work, or also you can check it out on YouTube with the Rush Hour playlist right there. Okay, folks, we'll be back with more. Bye now.